Hey folks, and welcome back. Today we're diving into a theory crafting topic, but trust me, it's one of the most important concepts for long-term success in Kingshot. The title probably gave it away, but heroes are a depreciating asset. And that realization, coupled with some of the other themes we'll explore in this video, may change how you think about your investment in Kingshot, and potentially other mobile games. That's right. Your favorite shiny, fully starred hero is kind of like a luxury sports car. It's flashy, powerful, and exciting when new, but over time, newer models come out and suddenly what was once top of the line is just nice for its age. Therefore, in this video, I wanted to share a framework for thinking about your investments in Kingshot, what it means for your account, and how I've used this exact mindset to leapfrog spenders in my own server. Finally, a big shout out to Just2 Magic, who just moved to Kingdom 353 from 356, for helping me workshop this idea early on, and thanks to the Sloth Squad for their continued support in helping me create more content like this. Check out how you can join in the link below in the description. Let's get into it. So first, what do I mean when I say that heroes depreciate? A hero doesn't get objectively worse over time. Its stats and abilities don't suddenly shrink. But relative to newer and more powerful generations, it becomes less valuable. Think of it like owning the iPhone 16 when the iPhone 17 just dropped. The old one still works, but the new one has better performance, new features, and all of the hype. But does that mean you should upgrade? Well, that depends on a few parameters. And it's exactly that same logic in Kingshot. Each new generation of heroes raises the ceiling. And if you heavily invested in certain previous generation's heroes, then your returns on the next upgrade are smaller. So if you try to max out the newest generation's heroes ASAP, then you're paying premium prices for a smaller performance bump. And that's fine, if you're a spender. Whales in this game typically don't care about depreciation because they're always driving the newest model off the lot on release day. For them, having the latest digital gadgets to play with is the goal. But if you're free to play or low spend, then you have to play the market a bit differently. You can't afford to buy every iPhone that comes out, so you need to be strategic about when you upgrade. And this frequently means saving your orange shards and gems until the right opportunity. Because if you try to build every hero a little bit, you'll end up with a garage full of half-built cars. None of them will really help you to be that competitive. But if you instead save your shards and intentionally skip certain heroes from 1 or 2 generations, then invest heavily when a hero comes along that's truly game-changing for you, you can potentially leapfrog everyone who's been spending steadily the entire time. You'll see this in my own story later, but the short version is, it's better to have a few great heroes than a dozen okay ones. And just like in the real world, not all assets depreciate. So let's follow the analogy a little bit and think about your hero as an iPhone. In this case, Hero Gear is like your iPhone apps. They make the device better, and they add in new functionalities as you purchase them, and let's just forget for a moment that free apps are a thing. But the good news is that Hero Gear carries over to future heroes. And this is just like when you upgrade to the newest iPhone. All of your apps port over to enhance your new phone model. So those apps, and thus Hero Gear, actually retain value, even though the heroes not so much. But exclusive gear and widgets? Well, these are more like phone cases and pop sockets and other accessories. They fit to one specific phone model and provide a genuine enhancement to the experience, but once you're done with that model, you can't usually bring them over to the next. So yes, widgets are important, and while conventional wisdom and many guides out there tell you to prioritize them when you can, it's important to note that they too depreciate over time just as much as the heroes they adorn. Now, just because an asset depreciates over time does not mean it's inherently bad. There's a reason a used car market exists. Sometimes you can get great value buying one that's a few models old. And the same is actually true in Kingshot, where there can be points of arbitrage in building older heroes. For example, when heroes hit 2 generations old, they often enter the gold key recruitment pool, or become available through events like Champion's Way. And even those widgets for older heroes show up at a discounted rate for later generation Hero Hall tickets and the Champagne Fair. And at the same time, game modes like Tri-Alliance Clash and Mystic Trials are starting to reward players for having a wider roster of heroes built up. So don't be afraid to pick up those used cars from free sources or ones that don't compete for the same currency with the latest generation of heroes. This will help you build out your roster for less total cost than players who did it when they were the latest generation. And one other interesting side note, some assets actually appreciate over time. That is, they gain value as your kingdom matures in age. For example, Mystic Divination tickets and Corsair keys, but not the pearls. Don't make that mistake. These actually become more valuable as the rewards pools for these events improve. It's not worth hoarding them forever because you lose out on the time to getting any value. However, saving those Corsair keys to eventually get a later generation's widgets could be a strategy that gives you a big payoff. Alright, but let's make this a bit more practical. What should you actually do with all of this theory crafting? Well, here are 3 things I would consider. First, know your asset type. Ask yourself, does this investment retain long-term value for as long as I keep playing the game, or will it depreciate? This will help you inform your account investment decisions, such as maybe prioritizing experience and forge hammers for regular hero gear over shards for hero star levels and widgets. This is true for making investments as a spender, as well as only using in-game currencies where you have the option. Other examples of account assets that hold long-term value include governor gear and charms, research, and pets, and that's both for levels as well as refining from taming marks. Secondly, maximize your return on investment from those depreciating assets. Don't shy away from investing in heroes since it's necessary at some point. However, you should always think about linking that investment to a particular return. In other words, if you're building a generation's heroes, get your money's worth for it. Use them to dominate events, rack up rankings, and collect rewards while they're still top tier. I have many guides on my channel that show you how to do that efficiently at various levels of account investment. And finally, don't get discouraged as a free-to-play player. I've seen this happen in my comments section where players consider leaving due to a feeling of needing to keep up with spenders. And that's a shame because while Kingshot puts a lot of shiny things in front of you, one of the things you come to learn about this game is that the shiny thing is not always best for your progression. So to some extent, this is a mindset shift of finding joy in just making smart and consistent progress over time while using resources wisely. And to me, this is almost a different part of the brain that's having fun than for a spender. And I make peace with the fact that I won't be a top competitive player. So instead, I focus on just running my own race. I get joy out of building up my town, my island, and heroes and gear. I like the optimizing and tinkering as well as just going along for the journey, even if others get there faster. So when you see spenders chasing shiny objects or flexing new heroes, remember, you're playing a longer game. Keep saving your shards and gems, build transferable assets like gear, and when the next generation hits, strike hard. You'll potentially leapfrog players who spent steadily on depreciating assets because you, all of a sudden, now have the new best heroes. Alright, let's put this theory into practice. Here's how I applied it directly in my own account. In Generation 2, I built Zoe. I should have built Marlin, but I didn't have the shards. And if you've seen my video on 7 tips I wish I knew before my first 100 days of Kingshot, you know the mistakes I made there. So instead, I just saved shards for the whole Generation 2. For Generation 3, I built Petra from the wheel. She was the only cavalry hero in the game with an offensive widget at that time, so I felt like that made her more of a worthwhile investment if I was going to pick a hero to stick with. But again, I otherwise saved all of my orange shards for the 3 months of Season 3 heroes. Then came Generation 4. I built Rosa from the wheel, and am still building her arguably, and I dumped over 700 orange shards into Elcar, and got way more of them on top of that because of my KVK placement while I did it. And since I wasn't chasing Margot due to having invested in Petra recently, and quite frankly not having enough resources to do all 3 of the Generation 4 heroes, I used Hall of Heroes as an opportunity instead to grab discounted Generation 3 widgets to keep building Petra. Suddenly I went from a team of Zoe, Petra, and Quinn, yes, seriously Quinn, to having a well-built Elcar, Petra, and Rosa. And the result? I started outperforming players who had spent far more than I did, such as in Mystic Arena's Coliseum and Tri-Alliance Clash. Meanwhile, my total spend in this game, almost 250 days in, is currently less than what I would pay for a new indie strategy game on Steam. So to wrap this up, taking advantage of the depreciating asset framework is about having an economic mindset. If you understand what holds value and what fades over time, you'll make smarter, more long-lasting investment decisions in Kingshot. And for choosing the right moment to plan your next hero upgrade, I've got a whole playlist breaking down investments in detail for a variety of players. Check that out in the below description. And if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for more Kingshot theory crafting. And let me know in the comments which generation of heroes you've invested in and whether you think it paid off. Thanks again for watching, and happy gaming out there.